Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Marlies and today we're going to make some ephemera together. I already prepared some labels that I created with the Tim Holtz die set vintage labels, and I cut out some in different sizes so I can stack them up really nice. After aging the labels with a little bit of brown ink, in this case the Archival ink vintage photo, I am going to put some lines on the tags, maybe for later to put some text on or a remnant rub, and I'm also going to grunge them up a little bit with a stamp set from Tim Holtz, the mini glitch, and that is what I'm doing right here. On the largest label, I'm going to create a little bit of interest in the background, but not too much. And I am using the Tim Holtz stamp set ledger script, and I'm just randomly putting the text on the label. There is enough room on the labels for decorating, but I'm keeping it quite simple so even the recipient can decorate even more on their own. I'm just using some remnant rubs on the smaller labels. I am using the Tim Holtz Remnant Rubs Specimen, but if you do not have the Remnant Rubs, you can also use a stamp to make it more appealing to the eye. I stacked all labels up from large to on top the smallest one, and it's time to punch a hole in it, and I'm using the big bite to do so, and also to put the eyelet in. I searched for a topping that would go through the eyelet, and I came out with this piece of lace and a couple of pieces of string that I had laying around. I am just tying a knot and pulling both ends to the left and right so it will look like a little bow. Then when the knot is tied very well, you can cut off any excess and cut it into the size that you desire. The stack of labels is already very lovely on its own like it is, but I would like to add something extra, and I'm going to create a little dangle thing that will go on top of the lace. I got out some loop pins, the new word tags from Tim Holtz, and also a little tag that I cut out with a Tim Holtz Thinlits die set collector. The second little project in this video will be about making mini spools. I'm going to start with a little bit of paint. The Distress Paint Picket Fence is my basic layer for the wooden spools. I am applying the paint with a brush in a very simple and easy way. Just rub your paint over the wooden spool. It does not have to be perfect. My second paint layer will be done with the Rustic Wilderness. You can do this in two ways. You can use your fingers and dab off any excess of the paint and just rub it on the wood. The wood grain will catch your paint. And there's also another way to do this. You can use a dry brush. It is also called the dry brush technique. And then just dip your brush into the paint, wipe off any excess, and then of course rub it over the spool. To grunge up the mini spools a little bit more, I'm going to dab my blending tool into the ink. I am using the Archival ink ground Espresso, and I just dab my blending tool on the spool and rub in the ink. I have cut out some round with a hole in it for the top and bottom of the mini spools. I've cut them out of the dies set from Tim Holtz, the Thinlits die set collector, and they have the perfect size to fit the spools, and I'm just aging them a little bit with some ink. And then it is time to glue them down. I'm just holding them in place so they will have a firm grip onto the wood. Every spool will get its own fabric, string or lace, and I'm just wrapping it around. These mini spools will be part of a larger project. In that project I already worked with some pinks and greens, and of course also with some fabric and lace and string, so I'm going to repeat those materials on the mini spools, so the all over project will have the same look. I also wanted a little dangly thing on those mini spools, so I have cut out also some little tags with the collector's Thinlits die set from Tim Holtz, and I'm just going to give them a little bit of decoration with some remnant rubs. And I am using the Tim Holtz Remnant rubs Specimen. To pin those little labels down onto the string or fabric, I'm going to use the Tim Holtz mini pins to do that. And I'm just going to push them through the fabric and then close them with the tag on it. The third and last little creation that we are going to make in this video is about matchbooks. The base for the matchbook is a collage strip folded into the right shape, and for the inside I am using some tea-dyed papers and some leftover pieces of the backdrops number 4. I am aging these little pieces of paper just a little bit with a brownish ink, in this case the Archival ink Vintage Photo, but be welcome if you want it to be more decorated. Maybe you want to stamp or use some remnant drops on those little pieces. On top of the matchbook, the closure, I would like a little label, and I'm cutting out a remnant drop, an insect, just to decorate the label a little bit. After putting on the label, I'm also going to use a stamp set from Tim Holtz, the Mini Glitch, and it's just to give it a little bit more of a grungy effect. And then punch a hole for the large fastener. I had some loose threads laying around and I'm going to wrap it around the top of the large fastener. What I've done, I've also got out a piece of mummy cloth, then you will have the label and on top will go the large fastener, and I'm going to hit the large fastener with the new mini hammer. This is already the end of the video, so if you like my content, please like, subscribe or comment down below. Also feel free to check out my Patreon and my coffee shop. I will put the links in the description box.